First up is Babylon, directed by Damien Chazelle, also written by him. So basically, it's Singing in the Rain by way of The Wolf of Wall Street. It's three core stories that interweave between Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, and relative newcomer Diego Calva. He's on Narcos Mexico on Netflix. That's the only other major thing he's done to this point. As three different people working in Hollywood as we transition from silent films to talkies. Diego Calva's character, Manny, he's a doe-eyed, hardworking, just trying to break in, get his foot in the door, and eventually, direct and produce films. Margot Robbie is a small town girl coming out to chase the Hollywood dream of being an actress, and she's already convinced of her own superiority and star power, despite not having a single credit. Brad Pitt is your Valentino-esque character who's been in the game for a long time, a Hollywood leading man, but now he has to kind of adjust to the new norm of talking pictures where he can't just get by on his looks and, mugging for the camera. He actually has to be able to deliver lines and act. All of that is fueled pretty much 100% on booze and cocaine, resulting in a deluge of bodily fluids that all I can say is I regret watching this movie in a dine-in theater.
One thing I was kind of curious about, is there any sort of direct correlation between these people and actual, is Brad Pitt a Douglas Fairbanks?
They do reference other people, but yeah, Brad Pitt is most like Rudolph Valentino. Margot Robbie's character is like a shit-talking Louise Brooks. Diego Calva, Manny, I think, is just your everyman type character. I don't know if there's a direct corollary there.
From what I've heard, and it's almost a shame because I started seeing reviews for this. I haven't read one good one yet. Everything that I've heard about it, it's a big mess of a movie, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of good people in it, and Damien Chazelle is a good director.
Oh, he's fantastic.
I did not like La La Land. I won't say I hated it, but I kind of hated it because I thought it was long and kind of boring. I didn't think it was convincing to have the two most popular, biggest name movie stars as struggling artists. And I also could not remember a single tune 5 minutes after I turned the movie off, which to me is a bad sign if you've just made a musical.
And weirdly, I'm on the opposite end. I loved La La Land. I remember a lot of the music, particular. It's weird that City of Stars won the Oscar, but Emma Stone's soliloquy, "The Fools Who Dream," was the one that stuck out to me the most. Mostly because that just hit me at the right moment where I was struggling to get work and trying to make ends meet out here. So it was kind of a weird cathartic moment for me. So that stuck out to me. And both movies, they're kind of two sides of the same coin in that they profess to be tributes to old Hollywood, but whereas La La Land is the bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, hopeful version of this, Babylon is the drunken voicemail you leave on your ex's machine. It's weird to me because it's a very well-made film, and there are moments of pure brilliance. There's a really big sequence that takes place over one day of shooting where literally Margot Robbie's character gets on set for the first day completely by accident. She gate crashes a producer's party the night before, and she's the last woman standing after everyone else gets, passed out and overdosed. So she gets a job basically just completely by happenstance, and she makes the most of her moment shooting one of about a dozen films in this circle of cameras pointed at stages. It's a really well constructed bit. While on the other side of this hill out in Van Nuys, Brad Pitt is waiting to shoot his one shot in this massive medieval battle scene, and he's progressively just getting drunker and drunker and trying to wheel and deal while Manny's being sent all over creation to try to appease this director played by actual director Spike Jonze, who's just gone completely insane. He's getting lectured on camera types that have no difference from one another, just in their model number, but they act like it's a thing. And because they're using vagrants and hobos for their extras in this battle scene, they're literally killing and maiming each other with real weaponry because they just don't. There's no such thing as a production budget for special effects to make it. So like that whole thing, like this is about. I want to say this is about minute 50 to minute 70, pure gold. The 45 minutes that precede it, which is just this huge bacchanal orgy of excess that opens the film, complete with an elephant taking a massive dookie on a guy, which again, they were serving as food. Come on. Like that's all just window dressing and spectacle for the sake of of spectacle. Like it's all style, no substance. And that's kind of the problem with this movie overall, is that it's 3 hours plus long. I think it's like 3 hours 10. And you don't have 3 hours of story in this. You barely have 1 hour of story in this. Everything else is just repeating the same beats of drinking, drugs, debauchery, reset, and do that about 4 or 5 times, only to then try to buy it back in the last 5 minutes by retroactively trying to take credit for not just Singing in the Rain, but the entire film industry, which, I mean, I remember I saw a tweet that someone basically, I can't remember who I would give them proper credit, but basically it's like the last 5 minutes of Babylon after 3 hours of bleep 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 and bleep, and it's that shot of Michelle Williams from The Fablemans going, "Movies are dreams." It's just so tonally all over the place, and it comes out of nowhere. So it's like, I get what Damien Chazelle was trying to do here. I truly get it. And I think his intentions were noble. Like all of this complete in bonkers, for lack of a better word, garbage is intentional. This is what he means to do. It's just you can't do that and then try to appeal to our sense of sentimentality afterwards. So it's like, I know exactly what it was trying to do, and I appreciate the ambition. Even trying to address the musical interest, there are a lot of people who found La La Land's music to not be memorable. So the now Oscar-nominated score is highlighted by a track where it's just the same 4 notes on a trumpet over and over again. Like, it's like, yeah, that sticks in your head because it's an easy earworm. It doesn't mean it's good, but again, it's like he's trying to answer La La Land's criticisms by throwing a tantrum, but a well-orchestrated one that has a point, just not one that resonates.
It's your opinion, like there's a point in there somewhere. There's probably a good shorter film somewhere in this morass of movie, but it's sort of swallowed by the rest of the chaos and all that stuff.
I mean, one of the weird overarching themes of 2022 cinema in general is that there were a lot of movies that came out both domestically and foreign around award season that profess to, tell us about the magic of movies. Babylon's one of them, The Fablemans, Last Film Show from India, Bardo from Mexico, Empire of Light. There's a bunch of them. And I think The Fablemans gets the closest to the point here, because a lot of these pontificate and soapbox about the magic of movies without actually showing us movie magic. That sequence I told you about with the one shooting day that's complete, controlled chaos on the hill, that's the closest Chazelle comes to showing us movie magic. And then the rest of the movie is telling us how magical movies are. It's like, you gotta show us, don't just tell us. Because, when just like you said with Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling being, the A-listers pretending to be struggling actors, I don't buy Margot Robbie trying to break into Hollywood for a second. I don't buy Brad Pitt for even one moment as someone who couldn't figure out how to act. He's Brad friggin' Pitt. it's like at least with La La Land, you could have Emma Stone substituting for any, doe-eyed ingenue. You could have Ryan Gosling trying to make it as a musician in a dying genre of jazz. Like, there's at least ways you can get around the obvious pitfall there. Here, I just don't see it.
Is it a recommendation though? Is this train wreck worth witnessing?
Not for any real amount of money. Like, if you see if it's on streaming, go for it. Like make a bad movie night out of it, but don't go out of your way to pay $20 a season in the theater.